Think about the last time you opened something new. Not just tore into it, actually opened it. A phone box, a pair of sneakers, a board game. Something that came in packaging that clearly wasn't designed by accident. You remember the way the lid resisted you for just a second. That slight tug before it released. The soft shk of cardboard sliding against cardboard. That wasn't a design flaw. That was an engineering decision, and it was made specifically to manipulate your brain. Here's what nobody tells you when you're standing in a store or clicking Buy Now. The box is part of the product, not the container around the product itself. Every millimeter of resistance, every material choice, every fold and crease and layer has been calculated to do something very specific to your nervous system before you even see what's inside. This is called box friction. And once you understand how it works, you will never look at packaging the same way again. I'm not talking about pretty boxes. I'm not talking about unboxing videos, though we'll get there. I'm talking about the actual architecture of cardboard, the structural engineering, the acoustic science, the material psychology that billion-dollar brands have been quietly perfecting for decades, while the rest of us thought we were just excited about a new product. We weren't excited about the product. We were excited about the ritual of opening it. And that ritual was designed. Let's start with the basic question. Why does a box that's slightly hard to open feel better than one that just falls apart in your hands? The answer is dopamine, but probably not the way you've heard it explained before. Most people think dopamine is the pleasure chemical. You do something good, your brain releases dopamine, and you feel great. That's not quite right, though. Dopamine isn't really about pleasure. It's about anticipation. It fires hardest in the moment before the reward, not during it. Neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz spent years studying this. He found that when subjects learned to expect a reward, the dopamine spike shifted. It didn't happen when the reward arrived. It happened the moment they saw the signal that the reward was coming. The box is the signal. That slight resistance, the friction, is your brain's cue that something good is about to happen. And the longer that friction is sustained, the longer your dopamine system stays activated, which means a box engineered to open slowly isn't frustrating you. It's extending your high. Apple understood this before almost anyone else. When Jonathan Ive's team designed the original iPhone box, they didn't just make it look good. They timed the opening. The lid is designed to descend slowly due to air pressure trapped inside, a phenomenon engineers at the company literally called the experience of opening. That controlled resistance is measured in seconds because they knew those seconds mattered. And it's not just tactile, it's acoustic. When cardboard slides against cardboard, it produces a very specific frequency, a low, soft whisper in the 200 to 800 hertz range. That's the same frequency band as a human voice. Researchers in sensory marketing have found that sounds in this range trigger what's called an approach response, an instinctive sense of safety and curiosity. Your brain hears that sound and leans in. Then there's the material itself. Premium packaging uses what's called a clay-coated substrate, a cardboard with a matte or soft-touch finish that creates a very specific tactile profile. It's not slippery, it's not rough. It has just enough grip to feel intentional. Luxury brands obsess over this. There are packaging labs where researchers test friction coefficients the way perfumers test scent notes. So by the time you actually get the box open, your brain has already been primed by 3 separate sensory channels: the resistance of the structure, the sound of the material, and the texture of the surface. You haven't seen the product yet, and you're already hooked. That's not an accident. That's architecture. Now here's where it gets philosophically interesting, and I mean that literally. There's a framework in critical theory called actor network theory, developed by the sociologist Bruno Latour, and its central claim is genuinely strange. Objects aren't passive, they act. A speed bump slows your car not because you decided to slow down, but because the bump made you. The object has agency. It shapes behavior. Most people hear that and think it's abstract nonsense, until you look at a cardboard box. Because what we just described, the friction, the acoustics, the haptic texture, that's not you interacting with a neutral container. That's the box acting on you. The box is a non-human actor in Latour's framework. It has been designed to produce specific responses in a specific sequence, and it does so without your conscious participation. You didn't decide to feel anticipation, the box produced it. And this connects to something even deeper, what thing theory calls the thingness of an object. Bill Brown, who basically founded the field, made a distinction between an object and a thing. An object is functional. It does what it does and stays in the background. A thing is what an object becomes when it stops working, or when it suddenly demands your attention. Normally, a box is an object. You open it, you throw it away, it disappears back into the background of your life. But a well-engineered box, an Apple box, a Nintendo box, a perfume box, never fully becomes background. It keeps demanding your attention. People save these boxes. They stack them in closets. They feel genuinely guilty throwing them away. There are entire communities online dedicated to people who can't bring themselves to get rid of their iPhone boxes. That's the box asserting its thingness. It has accumulated enough sensory weight, enough friction, enough ritual, enough memory, that it can no longer be ignored. It has crossed from object into thing, and brands know this. The box that you can't throw away is a brand impression that never ends. Every time you see it on your shelf, you re-experience the original purchase. Every time you open your closet and spot that matte black lid, the dopamine system fires, faintly, briefly, and the brand gets another free hit. The cardboard isn't packaging anymore. It's a relationship. At some point in the early 2010s, something strange happened on YouTube. People started filming themselves opening boxes, just opening boxes. No commentary, no review, no tutorial, just the lid coming off, the tissue paper rustling, the product being lifted out, and millions of people watched. By 2014, unboxing was one of the fastest growing search categories on YouTube. By 2017, kids were listing unboxing videos as a top career aspiration. Ryan Kaji, a kid who started filming himself opening toy boxes at age 4, became one of the highest earning YouTubers on the planet, pulling in tens of millions of dollars a year before he hit middle school. The media reacted with predictable confusion. Why would anyone watch someone else open a box? What is wrong with people? That's the wrong question, though. The right question is, what is the box doing to the person watching? Your mirror neuron system doesn't fully distinguish between performing an action and watching someone else perform it. When you watch someone slowly lift a lid, feel that resistance, hear that cardboard whisper, your brain runs a simulation of doing it yourself. The anticipation response fires. The dopamine system activates. You get a version of the same neurological experience without ever touching the package. Unboxing videos are a delivery mechanism for box friction. Fully vicarious, infinitely repeatable, completely free. And brands figured this out fast. The moment unboxing became a genre, packaging design budgets exploded. Companies started engineering boxes not just for the person receiving them, but for the camera. The way a box looks in a medium shot, the sound it makes when recorded on a phone microphone, the visual reveal when the lid comes off and the product sits perfectly nested in its insert, surrounded by tissue and foam and carefully folded instruction cards. This is packaging designed for an audience of millions who will never touch it. And it works in both directions, because consumers started self-selecting toward brands with better unboxing experiences, even when the product itself was identical. Studies in sensory marketing have shown that subjects rate the quality of a product significantly higher when the packaging provides more tactile resistance during opening. Same product, more friction, higher perceived value. The box isn't just delivering the product anymore. The box is justifying the price. Which raises a question that should make you a little uncomfortable. If the ritual of opening something is engineered to make you feel like you got more than you paid for, are you buying the product, or are you buying the experience of receiving it? So let's come back to where we started. That slight tug, that soft shh, that moment of resistance before the lid gives way. You know what that is now. It's not a box opening, it's a system activating. Dopamine anticipation, acoustic priming, haptic signaling, mirror neuron simulation. All of it firing in sequence, all of it designed, all of it pointed directly at the part of your brain that decides how much something is worth. And here's the part I keep coming back to. Knowing this doesn't make it stop working. That's the genuinely unsettling thing about the psychology of objects. You can understand exactly how a mechanism operates and still be subject to it. You can watch an unboxing video knowing full well that your mirror neurons are being exploited and still feel the anticipation. You can recognize that the friction in a luxury box is calibrated to inflate perceived value and still feel like you got something special when you open it. Because the ritual isn't irrational. The experience of anticipation is real. The pleasure of a slow, deliberate opening is real. The memory that gets encoded in the moment the lid comes off, that's real too. What changes when you understand this isn't that you stop enjoying boxes. What changes is that you start seeing them for what they actually are. Objects with intention. Things designed not just to hold a product, but to hold you, your attention, your emotions, your sense of value, for exactly as long as it takes to make you feel like this was all worth it. Bill Brown would call that thingness. Bruno Latour would call it agency. I'd call it one of the most underestimated forms of persuasion in the modern consumer world. It's cardboard. It weighs almost nothing, and somehow it has you completely. If this kind of thing, the hidden life of ordinary objects, the psychology behind the stuff we buy and keep and can't bring ourselves to throw away, if that's the kind of question you can't stop turning over, then you're already in the right place. We've been pulling at these threads for a while now on this channel, and there's a lot more to unpack. Because nothing around you is as passive as it looks.